Hey yo, this the Kayah, the Kid Capri, man. You know how it goes down. We don't do nothing without no DJ. Alright? That's what you watching.
Welcome to the Without No DJ podcast. I got somebody very special to me on the podcast with me here today. You've seen him with Ludacris, and right now, he's Goody Mob's DJ. One of the greatest DJs I know.
Oh, cut it out.
DJ Jaycee.
All right.
What's going on with you, man?
Oh, man, just enjoying life right now, man.
Yeah, welcome to Charlotte, man.
All right. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. The first question we got for you today, what was your first DJ name and where did it come from?
Ah, man. First DJ name. Let me give a shout out to Jazzy J real quick because in 84 when Beat Street came out,
Yep.
I remember seeing that name and I thought that was the hardest shit ever. I thought that was just the greatest. I mean, besides Jam Master Jay, obviously. Yeah. And when I saw, when I saw Jazzy J, I was like, okay, I can't have that name. It initially called myself DJ Detroit at first.
DJ Detroit.
Yeah, because. Okay, and there's a story behind it. There was a guy at a rival school named DJ New York.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was just me wanting to rep my hometown. In Decatur. So I was at Columbia High School,
right, and
DJ Detroit. That's what it was for about a year.
All right.
That's what it was for about a year, and then it was like, that might not be, what you want to, So I just kind of, I was nameless for a couple of years, and then I just decided to keep it simple, Jaycee. I was 89, because everybody had the real super hype names, Grandmaster, blah 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 blah, Scratchmaster, da da da, and I just wanted to keep it simple,
right?
So Jaycee, and then I thought that was kind of plain, so I wanted to add a little flair to it.
Okay.
So I remember Third Base, and they came out with their second album, Derelicts of Dialect. The very first song on the album was called The Merchant of Grooves.
Okay.
And I was like, that's it right there. The Groove, so I just changed it around, the Groove Merchant, because first record I ever remember buying as a kid was Mr. Dream Merchant by The New Birth, as a 45. Like, that was like my favorite fucking song. So I was like, all right, Groove Merchant. Jaycee the Groove Merchant, because I was a part of a group.
Right.
I was a DJ in this, everybody kind of had a rap. You start out with rap dreams, wanting to make records.
Oh, yeah.
Find that guy in your neighborhood that can rap a little bit. And, we used to work on demos and send demo tapes, with the, hopes and dreams of getting signed. So, Jaycee the Groove Merchant. And then when the rap dreams kind of went to the wayside because he got his girl pregnant with twins.
Oh, wow.
So, shit got real.
Oh, yeah. Real fast.
Real fast. And it was like, oh, okay, well, now I have all these records. What am I going to do? Okay, I guess I'll start DJing.
Okay.
So,
all right. A lot of people know that you're from Detroit, but you currently reside in Atlanta. What influenced that move?
That was family, Mom and Pops got married on Christmas Eve of 78 going into 79. And then, he had a job down here in Atlanta.
Right.
So that's what that was.
Okay. Describe for us what Atlanta looked like hip hop wise in the 80s. What was going on?
Man, in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, because, you know, I was around when Atlanta's first rapper, Mojo,
Yeah.
you know, was the thing. You know, let Mojo handle it. So that was, if I'm, you know, I'm usually good with dates, so I want to say that was like 83
Right.
going into, you know, and then also around that time I moved back to Detroit, you know, because my parents split up, blah, blah. So Mojo definitely set it off hip hop wise.
Right.
And then when I came back permanently, you know, there was Shy-D, there was Raheem the Dream, there was Atlanta's first female rapper, Easy T. You know, so it was nothing like it is now.
Right.
You know, a lot of Atlanta's hip hop representatives were from somewhere else.
Right.
You know, Shy-D's from the Bronx. You know, and I actually went to high school with his cousin.
Wow.
And before he started making records, he was making mixtapes. He was DJing.
Okay.
She used to bring his mixtapes to class, and I would kind of hold on to them joints like, hey, let me borrow that, you know. Then, you know, he came out with records, Rap Will Never Die, featuring DJ Man, who was Atlanta's, like, if I had to compare him to somebody, he was like Atlanta's equivalent of Jazzy Jeff and Cash
Wow.
Money, because he was nice. He was nasty.
Okay.
Like, go back and listen to those early Shy-D records and listen to the cuts. He was pretty sharp, you know. He was the man. Of course, DJ Toomp. You know, DJ Toomp was Raheem the Dream's first DJ. Toomp was pretty nasty as well. You know, on Raheem the Dream's first single, you could hear Toomp.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
Absolutely.
so yeah, you know, so yeah, Atlanta coming, you know, bringing it back. Atlanta was kind of slow hip hop wise. We were definitely trying to emulate what was going on in New York. You know, we were just soaking up anything that came out. Period. You know, you didn't have 20 million rap albums coming out every week back then. You know, you only had a handful. You know, so you paid attention to what was coming out. You really took your time listening to them, listening to the music, absorbing it.
Right.
You know, in most cases with DJs, memorizing the scratches.
Oh yeah.
You know, like committing them shits to memory.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, you know, that's what Atlanta was. Then, you know, King Edward J, DJ crew. You know, King Edward J, you know, was a guy from originally from Florida. You know, who had a record shop and was selling mixtapes.
Okay.
You know, out of the record shop. So he decided to have a squad of DJs. He put his sister down, Lady DJ, recruited DJ Man, you know,
Okay.
Shy-D's DJ, and they just started selling these tapes.
Right.
You know, so that was the thing. And then, you know, you have DJ Lynn, you know, from the group Success and Effect, Roll It Up My Nigga, Freeze. You know, this is what Atlanta was sounding like. Because now it's like 87, 88, 89. You know, you had hip hop exploding from Miami.
Right.
You know, so we were getting a lot of that bass influence. Right. So, Atlanta was kind of a booty shake kind of city.
Yeah.
You had to. If you came out with records, your records had to have some 808, or you weren't getting no play. Like that's just simply, what it was. If your record wasn't thumping, it was a wrap. It was a wrap for you. So.
Okay. So did you get to go to Jelly Beans since we were talking about that?
Jelly Beans was on the southwest side of town, and I was Decatur.
Okay.
So, we had our own thing in Decatur, Golden Glide. So, that was the, if you wanted to go skating on the east side, Golden Glide.
Okay.
So but I was definitely aware of Jelly Beans.
Okay. All right. So there's a group named TLC. You have a special relationship with one of the members that you got to tell us about.
Okay. Well, 3 years before TLC, she was just Rosanda. We worked together at Greenbrier Mall.
Okay.
I used to work at the record shop. She used to work at Rich's, and we went on a date.
Okay.
I mean, nothing special, nothing salacious.
Where'd y'all go to?
We were going to go to see Ready for the World, but the concert got canceled for low ticket sales. So
did you have a curl? You had all that?
At that time, no. But a few months later, I did get inducted into the world of Albie Shore and Christopher. Matter of fact, Albie Shore was my influence. Like I literally took that album cover and said, "Hey, this picture on the back." That because I had the fade,
okay,
right? So this girl I was kicking it with, she had a friend, who was a hairdresser or whatever. So I literally took that album cover and I was like, that's what I want right there. And she, she put the Paul Mitchell whole little kitten caboodle in my hair, right? And then yeah. So that was my look for about 2.5 years. No, I'll give it a good 3, maybe good 3.5 years, and then yeah.
So she cut your hair every time?
No, she would just she would lace it, and then I would go to my barbershop, and he would fade it up,
Okay.
Have looking
real crispy.
Very crispy.
All right, was there an influence in the family that started you with the DJing?
My family, my family was musical. My grandma had a record shop.
Okay.
In Detroit, so records have always been a thing with me. Like, my mom has pictures of me in the crib with records and high chairs, holding on to 45s and all that. Okay. So, but, no one in my family was, a DJ as we know it now. Right. Just a lot of people in my family, we just listen to a lot of music. I was exposed to a lot as a kid. Growing up in Detroit, radio wasn't segregated, the way it is now. So like, you could turn WJLB on, and just as quick as you could hear a Michael Jackson record, they would play Steve Miller Band.
Oh wow!
Fly Like an Eagle, like right behind. Fly Like an Eagle. Then you hear some Steely Dan, and the Silvers, then Isley Brothers. Like there was just, yeah, that's what radio was. And then I had neighbors turning me on to like Donald Byrd and Roy Ayers and Bob Marley, all that kind of stuff.
Right. So you're a huge Prince fan.
Oh yeah.
I learned that by listening to the Minnetonka
Sweet.
Minnetonka, I'm sorry. Minnetonka Sweet. mixtape that you put out years ago. Where did that infatuation come from?
Shout out Mojo, the electrifying Mojo in Detroit. Initially I wasn't that fond. I'm not gonna say from the beginning, that I was a Prince lover, because one, I was still young, so there was a lot of things that he was singing about that I didn't really understand.
Right.
But I just, I think my appreciation started kicking in like right around the 1999 album.
Okay.
Like right around then, it was just like, oh, okay, all right. Like my voice is starting to change a little bit, and now I'm growing up. It's like, oh, that's what he means. Oh, okay. Like I'm starting to understand it now. So yeah, about 1999 in the Purple Rain. That's when I was.
So
boom, yeah.
Which cut was it off of? Was it Lady Cab Driver?
Well, shit. From the 1999 album, Lady Cab Driver was definitely one of them. But then I also dug in the cuts like Automatic, and Let's Pretend We're Married, and All the Critics Love You in New York, and Something in the Water. I really got into those. One, because it didn't sound like nothing else that was out, and Mojo was good for playing things on the radio that didn't sound like nothing else was out. I also got exposed to records like Beatbox from the Art of Noise and all that stuff by hearing Mojo play it.
Right.
So, but yeah, bringing it back to Prince, that was the era, that made me gravitate. I was buying his singles, and he was always good for having a B-side cut that wasn't on the album.
Oh, yeah.
So being that Let's Pretend We're Married was one of my favorite cuts, I bought the 12-inch, and on the B-side was Irresistible Bitch, which is probably like one of my top 10 favorite Prince records. So.
Did you actually get a chance to meet Prince before you passed?
Man, as far as an actual introduction, no. But working with Ludacris when we were touring with the Black Eyed Peas, we made a stop in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And after one of the shows, will.i.am was hanging out with Prince. will.i.am and Apple the App, they were doing these after parties after every show on that tour. And for this stop in Minneapolis, Prince was chilling. Like, you heard me and Tank talking about, like, we were in the DJ booth just kind of just chilling, and just in the corner, this little tiny dude chilling. And it once it hit us, like, basically as quick as we noticed that he was there, and we started bugging out, like, oh shit, should we go up to him? And we looked, he was gone, like, just that quick. I guess he had that radar, like, oh shit, motherfuckers know I'm here, let me dip off somewhere. So I never got a chance to meet him. But
did you change your set because of that, because he was there? Did you start playing a lot of Prince, or?
I was just there as a spectator.
Okay.
On that particular tour, the only people who could do after parties were Black Eyed Peas.
Oh,
so.
Okay. All right. So when did you get your first pair of turntables and a mixer, and what turntables were they?
My first turntable, I had one Techniques quartz direct drive turntable with no pitch, and then I had one 1200 that I bought for $50.
Okay.
From KP.
All right.
Kawan Prather, for those of you, the guy who signed T.I., Youngbloods, who, he's Dungeon Family, PA, parental advisory, and now he works very closely with Pharrell.
Okay.
He also has a Grammy for being a co-producer on Kendrick Lamar's All Right.
Okay. Didn't know that.
So, yeah. So Kawan, used to hang out, in Decatur with us, because he had some other family members who were kind of illegal, doing things, and he suddenly found himself in possession of a 1200 that he couldn't take home. Okay. He was like, my family, they don't want no hot shit in the crib, so give me $50. Boom, got it. It was spray painted red.
Okay.
I don't know why, but yeah. So I had a black Techniques quartz direct drive turntable with no pitch, and a 1200, and a pyramid mixer, which was a knockoff version of the Gemini wood grain 2200 that Cash Money made famous.
Okay.
So that was the first setup of my own. Now, prior to that, I would practice on everybody else's stuff, and people in my neighborhood, they had 1200s. They also had the Techniques belt drive, the B200s.
Okay.
Yeah, with the pitch with a dial on them, right? And then they had the Audio Technica needles, the cartridges you could just plug in. So yeah, those were the kind of setups that I was on prior to getting my own. So yeah.
Now, at the time, what kind of needles were you using?
I had the Stanton. Well, I had a Stanton 500 on my 1200, and then on my quartz, I had an Audio Technica. I can't remember the model, but yeah, I definitely had an Audio Technica cartridge for my quartz turntable.
Okay. What was the process of transitioning from an employee at a company? I know you told me you worked at a record shop in Greenbrier.
Yeah.
To becoming a DJ full time.
I mean, that it was kind of like a obvious, next step, really. Because working at a record store, you get free records. From the not from the store, even though some of our employees, including myself, we did a number on the inventory. But the record label reps, will come through, and bring promo copies, and I just had a nice little collection that I was starting to build up, and then I started really focusing on the DJing when I did a party on the campus of University of Georgia for these AKAs.
Okay.
And it was like, oh, yeah, all right,
that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when I think of Atlanta DJs, I think of DJ Nabs, DJ Jelly, DJ Toomp, DJ Smurf. Yeah. Which one of these DJs would you say you met first, and on what terms?
Well, Nabs was the guy out of those that I met first. Mm-hmm. We met at a battle.
Okay.
We battled at a skating rink. He won. The prize was $500 and a job DJing at the skating rink. Nobody wanted the job DJing at the skating rink. We just wanted the money. And Nabs, so that's where I first met him. But I didn't start hanging with him. That didn't come until after he had come off the road with Crisscross, the Michael Jackson, when they did the world tour with Michael Jackson. So this was summer of '93, and Escape was coming out.
Okay.
When Escape was coming out, he had invited me. They were holding tryouts for DJs.
Right.
So I remember, coming to the tryout and doing okay. I think at that point, I was just concerned with wanting to show people how I could backspin. I
Right.
didn't really have, the understanding of what a tour DJ was supposed to be, and how you're supposed to be on the mic and get the crowd excited. Da 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 da. So so I'm not. I was never upset at not being Escape's tour DJ.
Right.
But that was the base. That became the basis of my friendship with Nabs. We both had a mutual respect for each other's skills.
Right.
So when he kept, basically Jermaine used Nabs for all of his acts. Like if Nabs wasn't on the road with Crisscross, he was on the road with the Brat.
Right.
If he wasn't on the road with the Brat, he was on the road with Escape. So he was basically the go-to guy for So Def. And then he got back. He was doing V103. Like in 1990, going into 91. But then he came back to V103 in 95.
Okay.
And it's at this point where he came to this club that I was DJing at called Velvet, and it was on a Thursday night, and I was playing Cooley High by Camp Low, and Nabs came in the booth like, "Yo, what is that?" Da 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 da. I told him what it was, and he invited me to come play on his radio show on V103. So that was August of '95. He starts doing more shows, and then it gets to the point where he's gone so much that he's asking me to fill in for him.
Okay.
Because he was comfortable. I mean, like he knows DJs. He knows all kinds of DJs, right? But
Right.
he was, I guess there was something about my skill set that he liked, that he felt comfortable, like, okay, I want you to fill in for me when I'm gone. So a lot of fill-ins led to me getting hired right before the Olympics came to V103. So, so yeah, Nabs, to answer the question, Nabs was the first one that I met.
Okay.
But shortly after Nabs, Smurf, because Smurf was a member of the J Team.
Okay.
I was a member of the J Team too.
Okay.
So it was Nabs, Smurf, then Jelly, and then I met Toomp at a battle at Earwax.
Okay.
You can go on YouTube, and there's footage of Toomp, Clever, me, and maybe like 3 or 4 other guys. There was a Shotgun. Had a battle at Earwax Records.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we're speaking on So Def. There was another label in the South by the name of LaFace Records at that time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that was ran by the legendary Shanti Das. Can you paint the picture of what a typical day on walking into LaFace Records looked like?
Boy, listen. You know how you listen to the Outkast Players Ball, and you hear Rico Wade says, "I'm talking about it's a black man's heaven here."
Right.
That's what walking into LaFace looked like. Well, matter of fact, let me give you another visual. You seen Boomerang?
Absolutely.
Okay. You know how that office building where it's just nothing but beautiful women just all over the place as soon as you walk in the door?
Yep.
That's what LaFace Records was like. Literally, you walk in the door, beautiful, beautiful receptionist. Then by the time they call Shanti, say, hey, Jaycee is here, or whoever, whatever DJ is coming to see her. By the time they've called her and she says, okay, send them back. Right. By the time you get to her office, you've seen at least 10 dimes. Just, and it's just like, fuck.
And
Shanti, she's beautiful in her own right.
Right.
But it's other stunners.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man. You just, whew, Jesus. So, yeah, I liked Record Day coming to LaFace. Yeah.
Where was LaFace Records located?
LaFace was directly across the street from Lenox Square.
Okay.
In the Capital City, I think the Capital City office building. Right across the street.
Okay.
Like literally.
Word. Okay, so since we're talking about LaFace Records, there's now what we know as Stankonia that Outkast owns. It's a recording studio in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. That was formerly owned by Bobby Brown. A lot of people don't know that. Mm-hmm. Did you get a chance to visit it before it was Stankonia?
I never visited it when it was Boss Town.
Okay.
No. But when it was Boss Town, it was the talk of the city. Like literally everybody was like, oh man, Bobby Brown. He was putting out, what was that album? The B Brown Posse. You remember that? Yeah. Bobby had Atlanta on Smash for a quick second, but it was always a LaFace town until I would say LaFace ran Atlanta, and then So Def started becoming more of a presence.
Okay.
Maybe like 95, 96, because Puffy was coming down to Atlanta a lot.
Yep.
And pretty much taking over the city. This was, when Bad Boy was like, Puffy was always in Atlanta, like always. And, he would literally come to Atlanta, take over the clubs, bring down DJs from New York, and and so Jermaine was kind of like, okay, it's a New York guy coming down here, outshining me in my own city, so let me, so Jermaine slowly but surely started adopting some of the same tactics.
Absolutely.
So then there was So Def Weekend. But that didn't really start happening until 97.
Okay.
And then 97, that was the year Jermaine was on fire. He had the Drew Hill In My Bed remix.
Yep.
Jermaine was heating up. He had remixes, Mariah Carey, and yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, 97 So Def Weekend, that kind of switched it back. Like, so okay, like, this is our city.
Yeah. There's a hip hop magazine that we adored in the 90s called The Source Magazine. November 1994, you were actually featured in that magazine.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I was DJing at this club called The Warehouse.
Okay.
Which at this time was the spot on Friday night. It was me, Emperor Cersei. Kenny Burns was the promoter. Him and his crew, 2620. So on this particular night, that we had heard, we got wind that the Source was coming to was coming to town, and they just so happened to show up on the night that A Tribe Called Quest performed at the warehouse.
Wow.
So, they, like they talked to me, Cersei. They definitely did a lot of, took a lot of pictures of the crowd, So none of us, I mean, we were all hoping, to get featured, right? Because we knew they were doing a story on Atlanta, right?
Right.
But then when the issue came out, I was the only one that was pictured. And, there were a few hard feelings.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine.
But, hey, they took your picture. They talked to you just like they did me, but,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So DJ Nabs just released a book. In that book, it has an audio CD. You're actually featured on that audio CD, DJing at Club Kayah. Explain to us what your role was at Club Kayah and what Club Kayah looked like at that time.
My role at Kayah was pretty much, I would say, the closer.
Okay.
Like Mr. C.
All right.
Right? Because Kayah was small. It's not your typical club per se.
Right.
Like, it was a restaurant during the day. They just kind of happened to have this space in the back, that you could transform it into, to make it feel like a club. And that's exactly what Nabs did. It was his personal party, called Old School Sundays.
Right.
Like, I remember, when he first hit me with the concept of, what he wanted it to be. Because, again, you got to remember, we were hanging, like, real tough,
Right.
because, both of us, we were at V103. And then even when he left V103 to go to Hot 97.5, even though we were both at competing radio stations, we were still cool. Right? So, when he told me about the idea, he was like, yeah, like, I want to do a night of just old shit. Just all night. Just old shit. Because, see, there was another club in the city called Club Velvet.
Okay.
That had a Sunday night where they were playing old school stuff, but nobody was DJing.
Right.
It was literally a DJ, but what he would do was he would just play a record, let that shit fade out, and play another record. Yeah, like no mixing. But people were there just because the music was so, like, he was an excellent selector, whoever he was. I don't even know who, I couldn't even tell you who the DJ was, but they had the Sunday night shit on lock for a while. But Nabs was like, I want to do what they do, but actually DJ. And then right? So when it first started, in the front room, he had DJ Kemet in the front. And in the back, there was Doc, Nabs, and then I would come on after Nabs. The bistro would be open from like 9 to 11. Like they would have everybody wait, and they wouldn't even open the back room until 11 o'clock. So Kemet got everybody hyped. Kemet's playing all types of. Kemet is one of my favorite DJs in the world, period. Okay. Like, he's an excellent selector. He can play every fucking thing, right? He'll be playing some jazz, like Miles Davis, and then he'll go into some house, and then he'll be playing some reggae, then he'll play some calypso, then he'll fucking play some Public Enemy and Mary. Kemet is that guy.
Okay.
For me. But so just setting the scene, it'd be rammed. Okay. Kemet got motherfuckers sweating already, just from 9 to 11. So then when they open the room, you got Doc playing disco. He's playing like First Choice and Jocelyn Brown, Caught Up in a One Night Love Affair, like all those kind of records. And then Nabs would come on at like midnight, 12:30, with like the, like it's his night. He's the star,
Right.
so he's going to good 90 minutes of, and then from 2:15 to 4, I'm going to take you out, with whatever everybody else didn't play. Well, sometimes, I might play a little bit of what they played because the way I played was just a little bit different.
Okay.
So you might hear a few of the same records, but I'm going to actually cut them up and, present them a little bit differently.
Right.
So, that was my role, man. And I enjoyed it.
So your segment was from 2:15 to 4 o'clock.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the club closed at 4?
Closed at 4.
That's nuts.
Closed at 4.
In the late 90s, you were a part of the infamous DJ crew, the Super Friends. We recently had DJ Shakim here.
That's my guy.
Yeah. Legendary, man. We were talking about the Super Friends. How did you get down with the Super Friends, and what did it mean to be a Super Friend?
Well, I was one of the first members, like when it first started. It started, Mars had a vision, because, just a few minutes ago I was telling you how people like Puffy would come to Atlanta. Puffy was generally coming to Atlanta and not using Atlanta DJs for parties. So that it kind of started out like that. Like, okay, let's start, a crew of people who are rocking at the notable spots.
Right.
Whether you're on radio or you're in the clubs, because see, I was doing, I had V103, and also I still had a foot in college radio too. So I had the best of both worlds that way,
Right.
College and commercial radio, and I was doing clubs. And so Mars, he had this idea. It was like, okay, let's take all the DJs from all the hot spots,
Okay.
put them together, and make it so when these people, when people like Puffy come to Atlanta and they want to do parties at these spots that we already are locked in at, they
Right.
gotta fuck with us.
Right.
So that's what it started out as. So in the beginning, it was like 6 of us.
Right.
It's Mars, Doc, Fahrenheit, Trauma. But back then, he was known as T Square.
Okay.
Precise. It was Precise from Brooklyn. And I can't remember the other guy, but it was about 6 of us when it started in 1997. We didn't really have like no real marketing flair at first.
Right.
So, Super Friends, it was kind of exclusive at first. They were, we started out doing parties here and there. But then it wasn't until like 2000 when they got this guy named Tyrell, who was a marketing major, who had this vision like, yo, man, y'all need to promote yourselves more. I got these ideas. How about we make individual baseball cards for all the different members. Have your picture on the front, and then just like a baseball card, have your stats on the back. Your years in the game. Where you played at. Blah blah blah. So we started doing things like that. T-shirts, jerseys, jackets, and all of a sudden, when they started doing parties, they kind of had the celeb angle now.
Okay.
You got, a couple of A couple of people, maybe Gabrielle Union might fall through, and then that's like word of mouth. Oh man, Gabrielle Union was at the party. Da, da, da.
Right.
So so they started doing more. So that was also around the time that I started working with Luda. So that I did my first show with Luda in September of 2000. I pretty much lived out of a suitcase, for a very long time. So like I was always gone, when Super Friends would do a party.
Right.
Like literally I was always gone, or sometimes I wasn't gone, but the party started taking off like real crazy.
Okay.
But then, I had a falling out with Mars, because I was just like, hey man, I'm traveling the world, repping Super Friends everywhere I go.
Right.
I got this jacket, I'm rocking jerseys and da da da. But when you doing these parties, I ain't playing at none. Like, I can play. Right. Like and it's not a money thing. I just want to play. So I just kind of started just hearing excuses, and then finally in 2004 I said fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah.
So
you were doing a Ludacris thing at that time anyway.
yeah.
So I recall you telling me a hilarious story about when Ludacris and T.I. had beef, the infamous beef that they had.
Oh
You guys had to wear something special whenever you went somewhere.
Oh yeah. So there was one day, 2002, late 2002. Luda's security guard at the time, this guy named Avery. We got the memo to come to the office. So we stopped by the DTP office, and he had bulletproof vests for everybody to wear. I'm like, what? Why? Like, I don't carry myself in a manner where, I have to wear a fucking bulletproof vest, but these were required. And like literally for about a year and a half, I wore a fucking bulletproof vest everywhere. Like I went home, my girl, she was like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck do you have a bulletproof? Like I didn't even have a gun or anything. She was like, this shit don't make no sense.
But you got the vest.
And so I had to explain why, because the climate, it was a thing.
Right.
Like Grand Hustle disturbing the peace. There was no, yeah, like that was a thing.
That's quite a story. Quite a story.
Oh, and I got plenty more, but
Speaking of touring, there was an album called Golden Grain with DTP that featured pretty much everybody on the roster at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had to go out and promote this album.
Yep.
Did Ludacris come out on
Nope.
every show?
Nope.
Why not?
So okay, summer 2002, we were on Anger Management Tour with Eminem, Exhibit, Executioners,
Right.
Papa Roach. Right when that tour was over, the DTP album Golden Grain came out.
Right.
Also at this time, Luda got called to do Too Fast, Too Furious.
Right.
The company, in charge of the filming, I want to say it was New Line Cinema, wouldn't let Luda off the set. Right? So we had the option before the album came out, because the album came out September. We had the, like we were in the Def Jam building, with Lior, Kevin Lyles, laying out the marketing strategy, all this kind of stuff. They was like, hey, you can wait until Luda finishes this movie, you know, you can when you do promo, you know, promo will be crazy, you know, because y'all will be going all over the country in the tour bus, da 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 da. But you know, certain members of the crew, you know, we had a taste of what it was like being always gone, and you know, we didn't necessarily want to wait.
Right.
You know, let's get out on the road. Well, okay, if you get out on the road now, Luda's not gonna be there.
Right.
If you get out on the road now, Shauna's not gonna be there, because you know, Shauna, unbeknownst to most people, she had a kid with special needs.
Right.
You know, and she wasn't too fond of being gone for too long.
Right.
Right. So, with those 2 strikes against us before leaving this, we got 2 strikes against us already.
Right.
But nah, fuck it. All right, we just gonna go anyway, right?
Right.
Okay. So we got this schedule, 30 plus cities that we gonna roll to. You know, we gonna start in the south, and we gonna go west, and all these dates just lined up, right? So we go to Tennessee, and we got this tour bus. All our faces are on this tour bus, right?
Okay.
So the tour bus causes pandemonium everywhere right? We start doing things like in-store appearances. You know, now you got to remember, this is when people bought albums.
Absolutely.
You know, this was before Napster, and you know, before you could download shit, right? So we would set up in-store appearances in these malls with record stores.
Right.
And the people, if you buy the album, you know, Luda, you can get a autographed picture or da-da-da, right? So we were showing up to shopping malls. Tons of people standing in line. And when they would see that Luda is not there, you know, the smile would suddenly just kind of go upside down. You know, we had a label rep that was traveling with us, and it was their job to report back.
Right.
What was going on, right? It was like, yeah, you know, we got a large turnout, but people are mad because Luda's not here, and so promo tour got cut short after about 5 cities.
Right.
Then we started performing. We were doing shows without Luda. The very first show that we did without Luda and Shauna was in Cincinnati. The Friday after the album came out, we were at Club Ritz. This club is notable because this is the same club where T.I.'s friend Falant got shot at.
Yep.
Right? So let me describe it. It is, every city has a club that is just hood, beyond, right?
Oh, yeah.
Club Ritz is that, right? Yeah, you know, capacity maybe 3,000-4,000, right? Because it's big, because it used to be a grocery store, like a big grocery store, and they just totally gutted it the fuck out, right? So it's huge. You got pool tables, motherfuckers shooting dice in the corner, like all types of, like, I'm talking about, like, this shit is hood.
Okay.
Whatever y'all got in Charlotte, Club Ritz is that on steroids.
Okay.
If we're talking hood, right? So I remember showing up for sound check, and at 6 o'clock there was already a line. Now you know, 2002, you know, Luda was one of the hottest in the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Move Bitch was kind of one of the songs of the summer.
Right.
You know, as soon as you hear that boom, 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 motherfuckers is going crazy, right? So, all right. So, they had promoted this show, of course, Ludacris featuring disturbing the people, knowing full well that Luda wasn't gonna be there.
Right.
But Cincinnati didn't know that.
Uh-oh.
Cincinnati didn't know that. So I'm walking in, I do my sound check. And I see this huge line, like, damn, motherfuckers is already out here. It's not even 7 o'clock yet. So then when I'm done with sound check, it's like 7:30. It's even more, right? So I gotta come back to the hotel, and I had a meeting with Fate, 20, and Tit. It's like, hey man, I know we got this brand new ass album that just came out 3 days ago that I know y'all wanna jump into, but let's start out on the familiar tip first.
Right.
Because nobody wants to see motherfuckers performing some shit that they ain't never fucking heard before. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no, give us some shit we know first. So, hey, let's lay it out like this.
Right.
Then we get into some of these album cuts. We know that they gonna want to hear Move Bits. So, and additional strike. Mystical was on that record.
Yeah.
Mystical wasn't nowhere around.
First and second verse gone.
Right. Right. You got Luda first. You got Mystical, right? So again, we got 3 strikes. So luckily the set was, we were only they only wanted 25 minutes from us. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we start out, familiar stuff. We get to that last record. The last record. And this motherfucker Fate says, I ain't bringing my nigga Luda out until y'all make some more motherfucking noise. Why the fuck would you do that, nigga? We had this discussion. Dude, what the
Right.
This was not a part of the script. This was this was not part of the script, dog. Like, and now okay. Every city I was going to, I was buying a throwback, right, for that city. So I had a Bengals throwback on. Like I was. Right. 4 strikes, because I had a white girl with me. Ooh. In this hood club. No offense. But in this hood club, blackness all around, I got this white girl. Right? I mean, she was built black, but she wasn't black.
Right.
So, anyway, now, getting back to Fate, so this club erupts, all this, because he said, hey, I'm not bringing them out until y'all make some noise. So these motherfuckers, they going apes, because you had all these girls in the front.
Right.
Because Luda, chicks come out to fuck with him, right? So we got all these chicks in the front, and then it's, Jay, drop that shit. So, I had to, everybody's going fucking crazy. Move, bitch. Get out the way. Right? And so that first verse, oh no. Niggas holding the mics out, trying to get the crowd. Right? So everybody is like, oh, get the fuck back. And then, every verse was only 12 bars, I think. So once you start getting close to the end of the verse and you look around and you notice that there's no Luda, it kind of, all the smiles just kind of turn into ice grills and everybody's mad now. It's like, right? So then, hook. All right? No Mystical, because Mystical got that second verse.
Absolutely.
Right? So no, 20, I got the right track, right? But people were still kind of like. So he finishes. when he's done, pew. But who's the motherfucker still on stage?
The DJ.
Yeah. Right? Because I got records, I got I got to unhook all, and I got this white girl. Right? And I got all these mad ass motherfuckers. And these motherfuckers is mad because I later learned that they was beating motherfuckers in the head at the door for the admission. Yeah. Like tickets was at first they was like $20 or something, and that price kind of inflated. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I got all these motherfuckers looking at me. I'm hurry up, and I'm packing my shit. My girl, yeah, right. Our tour bus is in the fucking parking lot, right? So it's all these people mad, taking their anger out. I mean, like they're not. Like nobody was like breaking stuff or anything, but it was just, let's just say there was a lot of unhappy people surrounding that tour bus.
I can believe it.
Yeah. So we got followed. We got followed back to the hotel. We were in downtown Cincinnati. And yeah, we kind of yeah. It was like, now, if you were to ever interview Fate or 20 or Tit, 2 Chainz, their recollection might be a little different. Right. But, I'm just giving you what I saw.
The actual factuals.
Yeah, that's my thing. Actual factuals. Like, this is what the fuck I saw. There were people at our hotel after the show. Oh yeah. And it was just like, so we had to do another show the next day. Now check this out. The people at New Line Cinema, they let Chris out to do this show. So we were on the campus of Bowling Green State University, right? And Luda's they flew him in on the company plane and shit, and it was just like, so we really could have used you last night, bro, because we almost got killed up in that motherfucker because this dumbass right here, we could have got away if it wasn't for fate, but.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So Serato started to get popular with DJs around the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
What made you convert over?
2005, man. Jazzy Jeff. I'll just give you the short version. Like basically, I had records missing.
Okay.
And I had seen one of my partners, DJ Fingers in Detroit, who was DJing for WJLB, and he would do the 5 o'clock traffic jam every day. He was DJing, and he was using Final Scratch.
Right.
He invited me to do a set with him, as I had no idea of how to, the thought of trying to DJ with a computer was, that was just not something that I had envisioned. So, I tried my hand at it. I didn't like it. Final Scratch, they kind of had latency issues. So fast forward, maybe a couple months later, I'm out in Vegas. Jazzy Jeff is doing a gig at the House of Blues, and he's using a computer.
Okay.
He's cutting up. If you weren't looking at what he was using, you would think that he had crates of vinyl on stage because everything was just he's Jeff, right? Like right. So he's like, yeah, I have a 12-inch power book,
right?
And I got this big ass lacy 250 gig hard drive. This is what I use, and these 2 control records. So I said, okay. So I went out and got it. An All-Star Weekend. It was in Denver. I linked up with Jeff, and he gave me his hard drive.
Is that the infamous hard drive that was floating around?
Yeah. You know, yeah. Yep.
Now, in 2009, I recall listening to the radio every day to V103. I think Fonte had tweeted that you were killing it on the radio. So I clicked the link, heard this DJ named DJ Jaycee. I didn't know who Jaycee was, but I knew what was coming through those speakers were crazy. The timing was impeccable. The selection was great. What made you get away from V103 or radio, commercial radio in general?
I got fired. Suddenly, you know, because see, everything that you just described, song selection, timing, that's what I got hired for, right? That's what I got, or excuse me, rehired for when I came back to radio in August of 2008. You know, that program director, hey, play whatever you want. As long as it's old school, I don't care. Just play it.
Right.
So what was cool in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, going into 2016, now it's starting to be a problem. So in May 17th, exactly, I remember doing a set on the radio where I started off with Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Brazilian rhyme. And I mixed Lisa Lisa, I Wonder If I Take You Home, under it. Played more classics after it, all hit records, you know, wasn't playing nothing unfamiliar, but then when my mix was over, I was told, letting you go because the music you're playing is too old and we're targeting a younger demographic. So that's the PC answer.
Okay. Would you ever go back to commercial radio?
I would only go back. The only way I would do commercial radio again is if I could play what I want to play. Yeah. Because I've never, ever had a playlist to follow. You know, you hear stories about, you know, mixers at radio station having to play, you know, a predetermined list of records and that these are the only records that they can play. I never had that.
Right. And
if I was faced with that situation, I would not do it because there's so much music out there. Why are you limiting me to the same 20 records?
Definitely.
Crazy? Fuck out of here.
Most people know that you're a part of the Playlist Retreat family, which is Jazzy Jeff's, I would say, festival, something that he throws at his house with a lot of creatives. Can you explain to us the first time you met Jeff?
Oh, well, the first time I met Jeff was when he came out with his first solo, the Magnificent Jazzy Jeff album. He was doing a party at this spot called Hayes Lounge. And, you know, I just wanted to meet him, right? So, you know, of course I got, you know, all kinds of Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince records in my collection. But, you know, the one that is most dear to me, obviously, is the He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper album, right? So, I brought that album to the set just for him to sign. And without doing any DJing, like, I guess my demeanor was such that he was just like, hey man, hit me up. You know, he gave me his number. You know, so that was that was 2002 when that album came out. So you know, I've always been the person, you know, if I do meet somebody that I admire or whatever, I don't blow their phone up.
Right.
You know, like because I know outside of your career, you know, you got kids and, you know, all that kind of shit. So, you know, I don't blow people's phones up. But, you know, like I would just kind of stay in touch here and there.
Right.
You know, then obviously, you know, working with Luda, sometimes Jeff would be in a city that, you know, we would perform in. You know, so I started hanging out. You know, like I started really like actively hanging with Jeff 2005.
Okay.
I think that All-Star weekend in Denver, I think that was, you know, that laid the real, friendship, right? Because then sometimes he would just be doing gigs in other parts of the states, and I would just go.
Right.
You know, like I'd be with him in Minneapolis, Vegas, Seattle. He, you know, like it was, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna say, you know, that I was there like all the time, but if Jeff was somewhere that I could get to, you know, and I have free time in my schedule or whatever, I'm there. So when playlists started happening, I think the first one, Mel, were you there in 2015? Okay, you were at the second one. Okay. So 2015 was the first one.
Okay.
And I just remember not knowing nothing about it. But then after it was over, everybody who was in attendance, you know, because this is a rule, Jeff is like, you can take pictures, da-da-da-da-da, just don't post no shit until it's over. Okay. Right? So once it was over, I just started seeing people like Questlove and DJ Scratch and Spinna and Amber from Moonchild and, you know, just all these people that I'm already fans of individually, and then, you know, you see, oh shit, they're at Jeff's crib. What? All these DJs, you know, like DJs, producers, singer, like he literally, it's like, hey, just I'm having this little shindig at my crib, and come through. You know, I'm inviting you, da 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 da. Right? So after the first one, I was just like, oh shit, I gotta. That's some shit I need to be at. So Red Bull 3 Style comes around 2016 because I was a U.S. finalist in both 2015 and 2016. But in 2016, it was in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So part of the 3 Style itinerary, everybody got to go to Jeff's crib for a day.
Okay.
And when I went, it was just like, it was, not only was it everything that I imagined it would be, it was way better than what I already imagined it would be, right? It's just, you know, like there's nothing like a house full of all your favorites just hanging, just chilling, you know, just having drinks, smoking, whatever. Motherfuckers on turntable. There's multiple turntable setups all over.
Right.
Like Mel can tell you, like in spaces that would probably be a closet in anybody else's house. Mm-hmm. It's turntable studio, you know, it's arcade games and it's records. It's man, there were turntables every fucking where, man. Like, and then the studio, like, come on, man. Like, it's, you know, so you get to experience that. So it was one day. I got to experience it one day during the 3 Style. So then when I got the invite the following year for the whole full shindig, I was like, hell yeah. Like, you know, hell yeah, sign me up. You know, so just being there for 5 days, there's nothing like it. You know, just really just getting to kick it, getting to make music.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's the greatest shit ever.
Oh yeah.
And that's putting it lightly, you know.
Absolutely. With all the technology that's out right now, what do you think is missing from the DJ culture or the DJ game?
I mean, there's a few things that are missing, but I'm learning. Not that I'm kind of seasoned a little. Like you don't want to be the old guy complaining
Right.
about stuff, right? So like where I was probably kind of closed off to wanting to take advantage of all the new technology,
Right.
Because again, like I just said a few minutes ago, there was once a time when I would not have ever dreamed that we would be DJing without records.
Right.
Right? I never fucking thought we would be DJing with computers and all that kind of stuff, right? So now, everything, companies are making things with us in mind, right? So it's like all we have to do is just embrace the technology, and just accept it,
Right.
try to, find something that floats your boat and run with it. Like it's tools out there for whatever type of DJ you want to be, whether if you just want to be a selector, if you want to be a turntablist, or if you want to be a part, like there's tools for everybody to get busy with.
Absolutely.
Like literally everybody. So if you don't take advantage of it, that's your bad.
Yep.
Really.
You're right about that. Now, we know that you're currently touring with Goody Mob. Is there anybody that you would like to tour with in the future?
Well, he's deceased. So there goes that. But who could I see myself supporting? Well, I'm kinda in the vicinity. The Dungeon Family.
Yep.
I would love to, and Swift is my man,
Yeah.
right? I would love to DJ for Outkast,
Oh, yeah.
right? Me and Swift, really, we kind of just did that on this Dungeon Family tour. That was just missing Dre,
Right.
but it was me and Swift up there, running through Dungeon Family catalog, with Goody Mob and, Cool Breeze and the whole Dungeon Family, just being there with Rico, Sleepy, and, yeah, man, and Ray, like, Outkast.
That's a good answer.
That would be the Outkast, and then maybe see somebody else already has this job, Z Trip, DJing for LL, right? Because LL got catalog,
Oh, yeah.
and Z Trip is right. So maybe Big Daddy Kane
Okay. So
or
guys, yeah.
or Rocket, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kane, LL, Rakim, Outkast, J. Cole,
J. Cole. That's a good answer.
Kendrick. Kendrick don't have a DJ,
He doesn't?
No, I mean, Ali, but Ali is not really a DJ,
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, tell the people where we can find you on social media, all your mixes,
Uh,
Instagram.
Instagram.com, DJ Jaycee 313, because Detroit is, forever,
DJ Detroit.
right. On Twitter, DJ Jaycee.
Okay.
you can find mixes. You know, I've had mixes on a lot of different platforms. Like I started, you know, back in the day on Podomatic,
Right.
you know, eargasms.podomatic.com. You know, there's still a few there,
Yep.
but, you know, then I went to SoundCloud, you know, so SoundCloud, DJ Jaycee 313. Then there's Mixcloud, DJ Jaycee 313.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, we want to thank you for giving us your time.
Hey, man.
Coming by Without No DJ podcast.
Hey, man, thank you for having
Giving
me.
us the actual factuals.
Actual factuals, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, DJ Jaycee.
All right.